So, what if a modern political crisis, like a moment of total gridlock, was actually predicted decades ago? Well, that's what we're going to dive into. We're going to look at this really fascinating prophecy and the real world events that, uncannily, brought it right back into the spotlight. Okay, so let's set the scene. We're in Israel back in 2019, and the country found itself in a situation it had never seen before, just complete and total political paralysis. So get this. In April of 2019, Israel holds a national election, but its leaders just couldn't form a government. Okay, so they hold another one just a few months later in September. And the result? You guessed it, the exact same thing. Still no government. The whole nation was basically stuck in this political limbo that was completely new to them. Now, you might just look at this and think, okay, that's a complicated political mess, right? A real headache. But for some people, this very specific scenario, elections happening, but no government being formed, it wasn't just some random coincidence. Not at all. They believed it was a sign, a prophecy being fulfilled. And that's when this almost forgotten prophecy, one that was like 40 years old, started making the rounds again. And the crazy thing was, it seemed to describe this exact political moment with some pretty chilling accuracy. The prophecy basically said that a major sign of the Messiah's arrival would be this exact event, when there will be elections, but there will not be a government. I mean, the parallel to what was happening in 2019, it was just impossible for a lot of people to ignore. So where did this startling prediction come from? Well, it came from a really renowned mystic rabbi named Yitzhak Kaduri. And it was one of his students, Rabbi Eliyahu Marav, who brought this specific teaching back into the conversation, connecting it directly to that 2019 grid block. So you're probably wondering, who was this Rabbi Kaduri? To really get the weight of these predictions, you gotta understand the man who made them. Well, Rabbi Yitzhak Kaduri was one of the most revered spiritual figures in modern Israel. He was really well known for his mystical teachings. And then, just before he passed away back in 2006, he delivered his final and, honestly, most astonishing prophecies about the Messiah. But that prophecy about the election, that was really just one piece of a much bigger puzzle. In his final teachings, Kaduri laid out a whole bunch of other specific signs that people should be watching for. The first big one was tied to a very specific historical figure. Kaduri prophesied that the Messiah would appear, but only after the death of former Prime Minister Ariel Sharon. So when Sharon passed away in 2014, for those who believed in the prophecy, it was like the first domino had just fallen. And Kaduri's description of this leader's character is, well, it's fascinating, because it completely defies all political norms. He said this person wouldn't be a politician, not a ruler in the way we think of one. Nope. Instead, he'd be one of the people, even using modern media to get his message out. The prophecy talks about a reign based on pure truth, with zero personal ambition. I mean, this is definitely not your typical political savior. Okay, but here's maybe the most surprising twist in the whole prophecy. It's about who would actually accept this Messiah. Kaduri predicted it would be easier for non-religious people to follow him, and that the deeply Orthodox community, they'd be the ones to struggle with it. That's a total reversal of what you'd normally expect, right? The prophecy also got into the how, like how this person would actually be revealed. And it wasn't supposed to be some single grand moment. Instead, it would happen through this really unique two-stage process. So in stage one, he would somehow confirm his role as the Messiah without even realizing it himself. It's described as sort of an unconscious confirmation. Then, in stage two, he wouldn't reveal himself to powerful scholars or anything like that. No, he'd reveal himself to just a few ordinary, simple people first, and only then would his identity become known to the whole nation. And this whole two-stage thing, it was predicted to lead not to everyone just immediately accepting it, but to widespread shock. The prophecy literally says people would look at this person and go, "What? That's the Messiah?" And here's the kicker. This person wouldn't be a total stranger. According to Kaduri, the Messiah would be someone whose name is already familiar to everybody, but who just had never ever been considered for that kind of role. So when you put all these pieces together, you can see why people who believe in the prophecy see it as a kind of checklist, right? Ariel Sharon's death? Check, that's passed. That impossible political gridlock in 2019? Check, that happened. The other points, the non-traditional leader and the two-stage reveal, they're a little more open to interpretation, for sure. but they really form the core of what believers are looking out for. And all of this brings us to the big question, doesn't it? Was Israel's political paralysis back in 2019 the fulfillment of this old prophecy? Or was it just a predictable political pattern? Or maybe it was all just a remarkable coincidence? We've laid out all the details from the prophecy for you. Now, the conclusion? Well, that's up to you to decide.